Now, this has been clearly proven by the hacked database of the Climate Research Unit. It is apparent from these emails, it is apparent from real science, that global warming is a complete fraud. This is now public knowledge. This is published on the internet. This is available for every man, woman and child on this planet to see the true data. And still our leaders are ignoring this data. Still our leaders are heading to sign the Copenhagen Treaty. This makes every one of these leaders guilty of criminal negligence, folks. This is criminal racketeering. The fact that our governments and every mainstream media is not addressing this issue makes all of these people complicit in the greatest fraud and the greatest crime that has ever been perpetrated against humanity. Any politician that supports signing this Copenhagen Treaty is a criminal. Now that they have knowledge of what is being perpetrated here, each one of them is complicit. Each one of these people needs to be arrested and needs to be put in jail for a very long time. This is criminal racketeering, folks, at its worst. This is the worst fraud and the biggest crime that has ever been perpetrated against the people of this planet. This Copenhagen Treaty represents the most extreme loss of rights that humanity has ever experienced, and it's based on scientific fraud. It is deliberate, premeditated criminal fraud. That's what this is. There is a letter that was written by a friend of mine on Facebook that I've published on the ClimateGate page of my website, thecrowhouse.com. This is an open letter to the politicians of the world. This letter has been written out for Australian politicians, but it can be very easily adapted to any politician of any country. You need to get hold of this letter or write something similar yourself, and you need to send it off to the mayor of your city, the governor or premier of your state, and to every member of cabinet in your respective countries. This is a letter that lets these people know that we intend to hold them accountable. There is also another friend who has contacted me who has done all the groundwork for the legal method of prosecuting these people under common law. All he needs is 12 good men within Australia. If there are any people in Australia who feel they would fit the bill, it could be seen as one of 12 good men for legal action to be taken against this government, then please also send me a letter and I'll put you in contact with this person. This simply cannot be allowed to continue, folks. This cannot be borne. Every politician, and this also includes the owners of any media organization that has been involved in this cover-up and this misinformation and involved in promoting global warming, this makes these people also guilty of fraud and guilty of criminal racketeering. People are literally dying in certain places around the world because of this global warming scam. The price of food now has virtually skyrocketed, and this may simply seem inconvenient to us, but when you're in a third world country and suddenly the price of food doubles, then you can't eat. So there are already people that are starving and dying from this. This is because a lot of arable farming land is now being used to grow biofuels, something which is completely unnecessary and is in many cases just as pollutive as using fossil fuels. But it also takes valuable food out of the people's mouths in order to put it into cars and trucks. And this is really not acceptable. We can't have people dying in order to put our food into vehicles when we have other means of powering these vehicles. We don't even need to use fossil fuels, folks. There has been so many other fuels that have been repressed by the powers that be. Look at hydrogen fuel for cars. I mean, look at all of Nikola Tesla's technology, the stuff that's being used to run the heart facility. There are so many forms of alternate energy. We do not need the world to be run the way it is, and we certainly do not need a global governing body to protect us from a naturally occurring cycle. What the Copenhagen Treaty is and what the whole myth of human-caused climate change is all about is a world takeover by the United Nations. The United Nations, as I've spoken to you before, the United Nations was formed straight after World War II. It's basically fronting the same criminal cabal that the Nazis were fronting. This is all being run by the banking system, by the controllers of the banking system. And as I said, they are simply the CEOs. This Copenhagen Treaty, this whole global climate council that is being formed, is basically being run by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank via the United Nations Council. It's a complete scam. These people are going to become the self-appointed, self-regulating bureaucracy, the government that runs the entire globe. No one will be electing these people. This will be those who control the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, a bunch of self-appointed people. This will put these people in control of all the governments on the globe, everybody who signs into this treaty, under the pretext of protecting them from climate change. Now, climate's changed, folks. We're not doing anything that is causing climate change. They've created all this pollution around the place so that you think that's what's going on. Oh, look at all this terrible stuff that's happened. We're all to blame, and we need to fix this problem by putting a tax on everyone, locking down the entire globe. This is completely ridiculous, folks. I don't know why people can't see that this is a huge scam. This is simply being done to create a global police state. And that is the only purpose that the summit in Copenhagen is for. And that is the only possible outcome of the signing of the Copenhagen Treaty. We need to ring our political representatives. We need to write to them. We need to let these people know that we're simply not going to accept this. We understand that this is criminal racketeering, and if they continue along the path that they are, then we do intend to hold them accountable for their actions. This really is an important issue, folks. When Obama said he was going to bring change to the world, he certainly wasn't lying, but unfortunately it is change of the very worst kind. But when I say Obama, I mean it's not just America where this is happening. I mean even here in Australia, Kevin Rudd has turned out to be exactly the opposite of what the people expected him to be. Of course, I really didn't expect him to be anything other than what he is, but the people who voted for him anyway all thought that he was going to bring about some sort of useful change to this country, when really he has just brought with him a plethora of new laws and an enormous loss of rights for the Australian people. The new carbon laws that have been put in place, I'm not sure whether they've actually gone through yet, but the new carbon laws outlined by the Rudd government show us an extreme loss of rights for the people of this country, and even contain clauses which will see any citizen that refuses to answer a question be given a mandatory 6 months jail. So there are all sorts of very, very bad things that are coming because of this climate scam, and it is criminal racketeering, folks. There need be no question about that. I've placed a link to these new laws on thecrowhouse.com. You can go again to the Climate Gate page, and you can find a link to this wonderfully Hitlerian legislation that is being put forth by the Rudd government. Now, the Copenhagen Treaty, the carbon taxes that are going to be imposed, this is what is going to finance this governing body. This is what is going to finance the global government that is being put in place, which is going to have such a huge impact on our lives. In fact, someone posted on my YouTube channel, and they got it absolutely correct when they said that, in a nutshell, the Copenhagen Protocol and the carbon tax is simply a way to make all the little people of the Western world finance their own takeover. And that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what is being done. And again, it comes down to the fact that we the people are supporting this happening. We the people are financing our own takeover. We are supporting our own loss of rights in order that the powers that be, the criminals that run this planet, the criminals that have enslaved us to a fake monetary system, these criminals, we are financing our own takeover in order that these criminals can save us from a naturally occurring solar cycle. Folks, what's wrong with this picture? And people refuse to see that this is happening. They refuse to admit the truth to themselves because of what the television tells them, because many of them are too scared to take the power back, the power that they deserve, the power that they have, the power that has been taken from them.